Yeah, Roland, this is a multi-pronged problem here. And I was following this conspiracy, this racist conspiracy, even before the debate, because J.D. Vance was spewing it previously before the debate. The Haitians and their numerous articles on this is a good one from CNN.com, Fear and Frustration in Ohio City as Political Debate Seizes on Growing Haitian Population. And it talks about how these Haitians who are there legally, okay, because of temporary protective status, those Haitians that are there legally in Springfield, Ohio, how they have rejuvenated the city. And they also talk about how many of the Haitians are highly educated as well. So one of the things now, this whole thing is not unusual for Donald Trump because in January 2018, remember Donald Trump called immigrants from Haiti, El Salvador, and African countries S-hole countries. OK, and he said, why can't we have more immigrants from places like Norway, meaning European countries? So this coming from Donald Trump spewing this is not surprising. He's done this before. America owes a debt to Haiti. One of the reasons why you have the Louisiana Purchase of 1803, which doubled the territory of the U.S., is because of the Haitian Revolution. And these Africans beating the hell out of Napoleon and France almost going bankrupt. So they sold the land that they had here, the Louisiana Territory, to the U.S. And this is how you get this is how you double the territory of the United States. So this is another racist lie. This is in the vein of Donald Trump and MAGA. This is another example why these people have to be defeated, period. Hopefully, nobody ends up physically harmed because of these lies.
Folks, since the lie first surfaced about Haitian immigrants killing pets in Springfield, Ohio, some Haitian families have kept their children home from school for their safety. The lie is putting hardworking, innocent people in harm's way. In Springfield, officials there have made it very clear that these accusations are vicious lies. In response to recent rumors alleging criminal activity by the immigrant population in our city, we wish to clarify that there have been no credible reports or specific claims of pets being harmed, injured, or abused by individuals within the immigrant community. Additionally, there have been no verified instances of immigrants engaging in illegal activities such as squatting or littering in front of residents' homes. Furthermore, no reports have been made regarding members of the immigrant community deliberately disrupting traffic. Thank you. Now, today, 2 schools had to be evacuated as a result of threats made there as well. Folks, this is shameful, what is going on there. Haitian Americans across the country have been up in arms. There was a big news conference yesterday in New York City. Today, when we were at the White House, Karine Jean-Pierre, of course, who is Haitian American, talked about her proud heritage. And also, we're going to show for you what President Biden had to say about the attacks on Haitians as well. Joining me right now is Makovi Neal. She is the special projects editor at the Haitian Times. All right, Ms. Neal, glad to have you here. So this is the thing that is unbelievable. We are watching in real time Republican candidates, Senator J.D. Vance. Oh, I'm getting phone calls from my constituents, as if these Haitian immigrants are not his constituents. The first lie is they're here illegally. Donald Trump literally has been repeating that at rallies. They're not in Springfield, Ohio, illegally.
No. And that's the thing. It's funny that these claims came up just a few days before the first presidential debate and so close to the election, Roland. And it wasn't really surprising for us at the Haitian Times to really see it reach this level, because this type of rhetoric, we're used to it, right? We've felt it and dealt with it before in different places across this country. And I think for folks who don't know, I have to just do a quick primer on Haitians and Haitian Americans. We're about 1.5 million people in the U.S., okay? And we've been in the U.S. settling here for the past 50, 60 years. In the past few years, after the assassination of Jovenel Moïse, the exodus of Haitians from Latin America, we've had people land here under temporary protected status, okay, through the family reunification program and now the Biden humanitarian parole program to come here legally. So, that's the first lie, as you said. And a lot of towns like Springfield, they've wanted and needed a lot of our recent immigrants, not just Haitians, but people from all over the place. And so when you see cities like Springfield getting a boost from all this migrant labor and people are starting to see the effects of it, others are going to be mad. And so when you have MAGA, you have people online spewing whatever they can spew, it's natural for them to take that and try to continue to use it to distract us, right, from the election and to divide us. Unfortunately, it has real consequences, like the bum scares, the schools shutting down, and people literally feeling like they can't go to Walmart without having to deal with some sort of attack, right? And so that's where we are. Unfortunately, this is not unique to Springfield, Ohio. It might be getting coverage more than anywhere else, but this is not a unique situation. This type of thing has been happening all over the country in towns that are seeing more immigrants, more Black immigrants,
right,
come in without the proper resources to help them settle in here.
Listen, I wrote an entire book called White Fear, How the Browning of America is Making White Folks Lose Their Minds. And that's exactly what's happening right now. White folks in Ohio, they're losing their minds. And so what you have is these white people who, in their mind, you hear it. We got housing issues. They're taking our job. They're taking our housing. First of all, Springfield, Ohio, you were dying.
Yes.
You were literally dying. Your tax base was dying. Jobs were lost. You had a housing crisis because you didn't have folks living there. And so Haitian immigrants looking for opportunity, all of a sudden, they come there. You have business owners who are saying, thank God folks arrived. And exactly. So now all of a sudden, and they're paying taxes. They're paying sales tax. They're buying goods and services. They're doing all of those different things. That is the reality.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and so it's really funny because we're actually headed to Ohio to have what we call community conversations with our communities because there are so many new nascent Haitian communities popping up all over these heartland towns like Springfield, right? People are bypassing New York, Miami, Boston, our traditional enclaves, and going straight to places like Indiana, Springfield, and rural areas outside of Detroit and Michigan.
And part of that, we got to say this here, mm-hmm. 1 second. Part of that is because of the policies of President Biden, Vice President Harris, how manufacturing has been rebounding. And so yes. Those places, they're like, we're looking for workers. We're looking for people who can do the job. And so whether they're Haitian immigrants, whether they're Venezuelans, whether they are Mexican, whether they're from other countries, they're going where the opportunities are. And also cost of living is lower and the ability to be able to get a job and work. That's what's going on.
Mm-hmm. That's exactly what's going on. I mean, to your point about Springfield dying, I mean, we've seen the numbers. I've looked at the charts from BLS, the Bureau of Labor Statistics. Every metric you could think of is just on the upswing from 4 years ago, and even more so compared to 10 years ago, as far as employment, how different industries are faring in there. So it's just really interesting that a lot of this rhetoric, right, the fake claims, the racist claims that we won't repeat, they have been swirling around online for a long time, right? And so I think this is where we have to recognize and do more work within our community when it comes to the impact of digital media, of virtual spaces where we're spreading these lies, right? These have been swirling around for a very long time, the bullying, the cyber bullying, the harassment, all of it, right? And because so many people picked it up, it ended up in J.D. Vance's mouth and then up on the debate stage, right? And unfortunately for some of us, we took that and amplified it further. So we have to be mindful about the fact that this is a strategy the right-wing Republicans have said, has been useful for them with things like DEI and critical race theory, right? And other progressive type of efforts where it starts out being attacked, or some crazy rumor shows up somewhere on 4chan, and it gets enough play and steamrolls online that it ends up on Truth Social and whatnot. And so I think we need to do a better job with our own communities about how to respond when we do hear and see things like this, right? So we can stop the letting these things just spread like wildfire and spreading the rumors, even if it's to express outrage and all of that, right? It would really be helpful to see our communities, our leaders, pay more attention and advocate for something specific, right? In terms of action to help states, cities, municipalities, different local governments actually respond to the influx that they're getting. We know these people are coming. The manufacturing sectors, all of these employees said they wanted these people to come. So it shouldn't be a surprise to cities or be left up only to the cities to deal with these influxes. There should be a more comprehensive way to respond to immigration so that it's not just an issue of, okay, we're at the border, who comes in or out, who gets to come in, who has to stay. But once that person comes in, what is that experience going to look like for their neighbor, the teachers at the school, and vice versa, right? If we don't do that work to help people settle in and integrate, we're always going to have these issues.
Well, look, certainly let us know when those community conversations will be taking place. We appreciate you joining us.
Thank you so much.
All right, folks. This is what that idiot Donald Trump had to say today. And if you want to see stupid, listen to this.
No, I will. Maybe Springfield, maybe Aurora, maybe both. We'll go there. I can say this. We will do large deportations from Springfield, Ohio. Large deportations. We're going to get these people out. We're bringing them back to Venezuela. You know, he told Biden he's not accepting anybody back. They moved all their criminals, not all of them, but the rest are moving in now.
First of all, how are you going to move Haitian immigrants to Venezuela? Again, that's just how stupid these folks are. Singer John Legend weighed in on this. He's a native of Springfield, Ohio, and dropped this video on yesterday.
Hello, everyone. My name is John Legend, and I was born as John R. Stevens from a place called Springfield, Ohio. Oh, Springfield, Ohio. You may have heard of Springfield, Ohio this week. In fact, if you watched the debate, we were discussed by our presidential candidates, including a very special, interesting man named Donald J. Trump. Now, Springfield has had a large influx of Haitian immigrants who have come to our city. Now, our city had been shrinking for decades. We didn't have enough jobs. We didn't have enough opportunity. So people left and went somewhere else. So when I was there, we had upwards of 75,000 people. And in the last 5 years, we were down to like 60,000 people. But of late, during the Biden administration, there have been more jobs that opened up, more manufacturing jobs, more plants, factories that needed employees and were ready to hire people. So we had a lot of job opportunities, and we didn't have enough people in our town of 60,000 people to fill those jobs. And during the same time, there had been upheaval and turmoil in Haiti, and the federal government granted visas and immigration status to a certain number of Haitian immigrants so they could come to our country legally. And our demand in Springfield for additional labor met up with the supply of additional Haitian immigrants. And here we are. We had about 15,000 or so immigrants move to my town of 60,000. Now, you might say, wow, that's a lot of people for a town that only had 60,000 before. That's a 25% increase. That is correct. So you might imagine there are some challenges with, integrating a new population, new language, new culture, new dietary preferences, all kinds of reasons why there might be growing pains, making sure there are enough services to accommodate the new larger population that might need bilingual service providers, et cetera, et cetera. So there are plenty of reasons why this might be a challenge for my hometown. But the bottom line is these people came to Springfield because there were jobs for them and they were willing to work. And they wanted to live the American dream, just like your German ancestors, your Irish ancestors, your Italian ancestors, your Jewish ancestors, your Jamaican ancestors, your Polish ancestors, all these ancestors who have moved to this country, maybe not speaking the language that everyone else spoke, maybe not eating the same foods, maybe having to adjust, maybe having to integrate, but all coming because they saw opportunity for themselves and their families in the American dream, and they came here to do that. Some facts about immigrants. They usually do very well here. They are hardworking, they're ambitious, they commit less crime than native-born Americans, and they will assimilate and integrate in time, but it takes time. So I think all of us need to have the same kind of grace that we would want our ancestors to have when they moved here with our Haitian brothers and sisters who move here too. And nobody's eating cats. Nobody's eating dogs. We all just want to live and flourish and raise our families in a healthy and safe environment. How about we love one another? I grew up in the Christian tradition. We said to love our neighbor as we love ourselves and treat strangers as though they might be Christ. So, how about we adopt that ethos when we talk about immigrants moving to our communities and don't spread hateful, xenophobic, racist lies about them. John R. Stevens from Springfield, signing off.
All right, folks, my panel, Michael Imhotep. He's the host of the African History Network show, joining us from Detroit. Commentator, communications strategist out of D.C., Matt Manning, civil rights attorney out of Corpus Christi, Texas. Folks, go to my iPad. This is a story that was in Reuters that shows you the population of Springfield and how it had fallen sharply since the 1970s census. You see, in 1960, 1970, the population of Springfield, Ohio, exceeded 80,000. Dropped 1980, further in 1990, further in 2000, further in 2010, further in 2020. In 2020, it dropped below 60,000 people. Now, based upon this chart, the last time the population of Springfield, Ohio was below 60,000 people was in the 1930s. Let me say that again. The last time Springfield dropped below 60,000 was in the 1930s. Now, when you look at that chart again, so if you go from 80, 82,000 down to 70, 75, then lower, and then you get just above 60, then you get to 60, then you get below 60, the impact shows up in several different ways. First, it shows up in sales taxes. Fewer people who are buying things. Secondly, it shows up, you don't have available housing. It impacts everything. You have fewer people in your schools. We can go on and on and on. Now, you have this influx over the last several years, 15, 20,000 Haitians. Is that a significant population growth? It is. There are going to be growing pains with that because if your population has been dropping, your population has been dropping for that period, you now have to recalibrate as a city to deal with that influx, and so you're going to actually have that. I dare say, Michael, the real issue among these white folks, what's scaring them is, 15, 20,000 Haitians, what happens if they become voters? They now become a voting bloc. They now can then have political power, which means economic power. And so what you have is you have these white folks trying to hold on to their old white town that's dying. As we keep saying, the average white death rate in America in about 15 states is higher than the average white birth rate. And so what they're saying is we would rather go down to 50, 40, 30, 20 than to have these black folks come into our city and save our asses.
Yeah, Roland, this is a multi-pronged problem here. And I was following this conspiracy, this racist conspiracy, even before the debate, because J.D. Vance was spewing it previously before the debate. The Haitians and their numerous articles on this is a good one from CNN.com, Fear and Frustration in Ohio City as Political Debate Seizes on Growing Haitian Population. And it talks about how these Haitians who are there legally, because of temporary protective status, those Haitians that are there legally in Springfield, Ohio, how they have rejuvenated the city. And they also talk about how many of the Haitians are highly educated as well. So one of the things now, this whole thing is not unusual for Donald Trump because in January 2018, remember Donald Trump called immigrants from Haiti, El Salvador, and African countries S-hole countries. And he said, why can't we have more immigrants from places like Norway, meaning European countries? So this coming from Donald Trump spewing this is not surprising. He's done this before. America owes a debt to Haiti. One of the reasons why you have the Louisiana Purchase of 1803, which doubled the territory of the U.S., is because of the Haitian Revolution. And these Africans beating the hell out of Napoleon and France almost going bankrupt. So they sold the land that they had here, the Louisiana Territory, to the U.S. And this is how you get this is how you double the territory of the United States. So this is another racist lie. This is in the vein of Donald Trump and MAGA. This is another example why these people have to be defeated, period. Hopefully, nobody ends up physically harmed because of these lies.
What we're seeing here, Kelly, again, are folks who don't want to confront the reality of dying, largely white, Midwestern America. And again, what these white folks are yelling and screaming, we're not racist, we're losing our culture. I remember the Wall Street Journal had an article in the last election, and these white folks in Iowa, same way, because of Latino immigrants coming in. And we're losing our culture. When white folks start saying we're losing our culture, they're saying we're losing our white culture. That's what they're actually saying. And so they want to maintain these nearly all white enclaves. That's what it boils down to, pure and simple. And they despise the multiculturalism that exists in large cities because they have been living in 75, 80, 85, 90% white enclaves.
And to your point about this white culture, what exactly is that culture? You know, you have to ask yourself that question. Is it the culture of exclusivity? Is it the culture of being siloed? Is it the culture of, being okay with othering other people? If that is considered a culture, then that needs to be eradicated anyway, because frankly, this country cannot survive on that culture. We cannot survive on exclusivity. We cannot survive off of not learning from our neighbor, off of not learning from other cultures, from other people, from other perspectives. So it is inevitable that this culture you speak of, if we're going to assign it to whiteness, that is going to be eradicated anyway. It has to be replaced with something more inclusive if we are to survive. So to your point, it is, again, ridiculous that these white people think that change is not going to happen and that by being racist, you are going to prevent said change and preserve a way of life that frankly isn't working for you in the first place. It is actually counterproductive to your survival, but you want to hold on to it because frankly, it is all you know.
So Matt, they have not been able to keep up with the changes in population there due to the census. And so as of the 2020 census, Springfield had a population of 58,598 people, and they were seeing that growth go down. So that's what we're seeing. But what we're talking about here, again, these are white folks. By the way, Springfield, Ohio, of that 58,598, 70 and almost 73% white. So that's the real deal. They're looking at going, oh my goodness, you bring in 15, 20,000 Haitians, we go from a 73% white town to maybe down to 50. And that's what's scaring the hell out of them.
I think that's a very astute analysis. I can't even lie. I didn't consider that angle until you mentioned it. And I think you're exactly right. I saw it as just out and out plain racism, which is ironic in a country that sits on stolen land, because many of those same people will regale you with stories of how their great-great-grandparents came from Sicily and through Ellis Island and how they're immigrants who made themselves, right? But when it comes time for somebody else to have that opportunity, they're not afforded that opportunity because they don't look the way that they think is appropriate. They are, quote, not like us. And that's the issue here. It's just straight up racism. I mean, I went to law school in Toledo, Ohio, and Toledo is a perfect example of a Midwest town that was built around a factory that no longer exists and is fledgling. And cities like Springfield already have these issues. So to act as though there's not a benefit to a boom to the tax base and to the labor base with people coming in, it's just economically dishonest. And on top of that, I mean, we do have to concede that there are surely going to be, as you said earlier, growing pains as it relates to the school system and social services systems that are just not necessarily built in the short term to provide benefits and other things immediately with an influx of people. However, there's an overall aggregate benefit. So if you look at it from an economic standpoint, you would think this would be a beneficial thing. But none of that matters if your problem is the people who are coming in don't look like you. You don't give them the same level of humanity you might people from Nordic countries. And ultimately, you know, the mongrelization that we see of the Haitian immigrants and black immigrants, the fact that they're not even put on the same level by people like former President Trump and talking about them coming from certain countries as opposed to people from countries he thinks are permissible. I mean, that's what it comes down to me. It's just straight up racism. And it's sad that it's not only xenophobia from an ideological standpoint, but that people are literally having to shut down schools because there are bomb threats and things coming in from unsubstantiated allegations. We shouldn't live in a country that's like that. But we know the reality is when white homogeneity is threatened and white comfort is threatened, then you get violence. And that's what you're seeing here.
So at the White House today, this is what President Biden had to say when he spoke at the Black Excellence Lunch on the South Lawn.
I want to take a moment to say something like so many Americans like Karine, as he pointed out, a proud Haitian American community that's under attack in our country right now. Simply wrong. There's no place in America. This has to stop what he's doing. It has to stop. And thank you all for being here this historic day. Today we recognize that this nation would not exist, and this is literal, without the blood, sweat, and tears, without the determination, dreams, and contributions of black Americans. That's a fact. This place wouldn't exist.
At the White House briefing, Karine Jean-Pierre also spoke to this issue, and as I said, she is Haitian American. Listen to this.
But do you take this personally when the community is a target of attack as it is at the moment in Springfield?
I take it personally when any community, any vulnerable community is attacked. Not just a community that I belong to and proudly belong to, but any community, any vulnerable community that is attacked, wrongfully so, in a hateful way, one of the things that I'm proud about in being part of this administration is that we condemn that type of stuff. We condemn that type of hateful language. That's what I'm going to continue to do. And I get to do that on behalf of President Biden, who also condemns that type of hateful rhetoric, as you have heard him today and many times before, when a vulnerable community is attacked. That's not what national leaders should be. Political leaders should not be attacking vulnerable communities.
Folks, we're going to go break into that. Vice President Kamala Harris is right now speaking in Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania. Let's go live there.
Criminalize healthcare providers, to punish women. Now more than 20 states have a Trump abortion ban. Many with no exceptions for rape and incest, which is immoral. To tell a survivor of a violation to their body that they don't have a right to make a decision about what happens to their body next? That's immoral. And let us agree, one does not have to abandon their faith or deeply held beliefs to agree the government should not be telling her what to do. Not the government. And I will tell you, when Congress passes a bill to restore reproductive freedom, as President of the United States, I will proudly sign it into law. Proudly. And I'm traveling our country, and I'll tell you, across our nation, we are witnessing a full-on assault on other hard-fought, hard-won fundamental freedoms and rights, like the freedom to vote, the freedom to be safe from gun violence, the freedom to join a union, and the freedom to love who you love openly and with pride. Let's remember who we are as Americans. Generations before us led the fight for freedom. And to the friends here, I say, the baton is now in our hands. And so much is on the line in this election. We all know and remember, this is not 2016 or 2020. The stakes are even higher than they were then. Because 2 months ago, the United States Supreme Court essentially told the former president that he will effectively be immune no matter what he does if he gets back into the White House. Imagine Donald Trump with no guardrails. Imagine what that might mean. Right. He who has vowed if reelected he would be a dictator on day one. He who called for the, quote, termination of the Constitution of the United States. And let us be clear, someone who suggests we should terminate the Constitution of the United States of America should never again stand behind the seal of the President of the United States. Never again. Never. So Pennsylvania, it all comes down to this. We are here together because we love our country. We love our country. And we who are here understand the awesome responsibility that comes with the greatest privilege on earth, the privilege and pride of being an American. believe it is the highest form of patriotism to fight for the ideals of our country and to fight to realize the promise of America. So, Pennsylvania, 53 days until Election Day. And we know ours will be a tight race until the very end. We are the underdog. We are the underdog. Let's remember that and know that. When we know how they play, we know how they play. We are the underdog, and we have some very hard work ahead of us. But here's the thing. We like hard work. Hard work is good work. And with your help, we will win. We will win. So, Pennsylvania, today I ask you, are you ready to make your voices heard? Opportunity. Do we believe in the promise of America? And are we ready to fight for it? And when we fight, God bless you and God bless the United States of America.
Talk over it. Folks, that was Vice President Kamala Harris just finishing her speech there in Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania, a jam-packed audience. Yesterday, she had two speeches that took place in, I tell you, they drive me crazy when they cut the feed that fast. It's just me. All right. She was in Charlotte and Greensboro on yesterday. Really out there hitting the road in a very aggressive way. You're seeing that. Again, Pennsylvania, critical state, North Carolina, they're seeing the polling data there as a critical state as well. I'm going to go back to our panel real quick before I got to go to a break and go to our next guest. The thing here, what they are seeing, Kelly, Governor Roy Cooper of North Carolina, he said she has an excellent chance of winning North Carolina because of how the data is shifting. Also, that governor's race, Josh Stein, he's up some 12, 14 points against Mark Robinson. And they really believe that Mark Robinson, the crazy, demented black Republican who is so anti-abortion, they think that he is going to play him being on the ballot will play a huge role in driving people out to also vote for her to beat Donald Trump.
Again, with North Carolina being in play is a really big deal. I did some work down there a couple years ago during the 2022 election cycle, and I noticed and truly felt exactly how purple that state is. It is not, they should not take for granted the Republican vote because it really is split down the middle in so many of the micro jurisdictions being, their voting districts as well. I really, truly think that Vice President Harris has a shot. If we galvanize, organize, get people to the polls, she gets her message out there as clearly and as succinctly as possible with the time allotted before November 5th, I truly think she has a shot. And that helps with the people down ballot in that state as well, as you mentioned, because again, we are not going to take for granted or not assume that this is just going to be a red state. North Carolina Dems have fought very hard to make that state purple. And in 2024, God willing, it'll actually be blue.
Matt.
I don't have anything to add, really. I think Kelly hit the nail on the head. I think the momentum, not only from the debate, but just from the what the polls are showing, shows that not only do I think Vice President Harris has a good chance, I think she's going to win. And I think Lichtman predicted that the other day, and he's been correct in 38 or in the last several presidential elections since 1984, I believe. He's been correct every time except for twice using his metrics. And it just looks like the tide has shifted pretty clearly. And, I think the debate, I'm sure you talked about it robustly on the show on Tuesday. I didn't get a chance to watch it, but I think the debate and the response to the debate has been very effective for her campaign, because for the same reasons it was ineffective for Mr. Biden before, it's very clearly effective for her now, particularly because of how strongly she appeared in that debate. So I think forward for them, just keep building that momentum, and I'm seeing it's going to be victory for her in November.
Michael.
Roland, I think she has an extremely good chance of defeating Donald Trump. I think the chance increases every day. The debate was a decisive win for Vice President Kamala Harris. I posted on my Facebook page, somebody called the elder abuse hotline because she beat the hell out of that old man. And she beat him so badly that he doesn't want another debate, but he's lying, saying he won the debate, and everybody saw it. 67 million people saw her beat the hell out of him, and she prosecuted the hell out of him. She continues to roll out policy. She has the policies at her website. We also know that Penn Wharton said that her policies with the economy will be much better than Donald Trump's. And as we learn more about her policies, we see how they will target the middle class, help people prosper, and also bring more people into the middle class, whereas Donald Trump's policies, his tariffs are going to cause a recession and cause middle class families to pay close to $4,000 more a year. So this is all hands on deck, but I think she's going to win it. I think we're going to win it.
All right, got to go to a break. We come back, more on Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network.
Everything. Visit our website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. You can register for the online history classes that I teach. We deal with thousands of years of history. I teach 2 online history classes, Saturdays 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. and Sundays 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. Saturdays is Ancient Kemet, the Moors, and the Ma'afa, understanding the transatlantic slave trade, what they didn't teach you in school. And then on Sundays, Black resistance movements, from Christopher Columbus to the Haitian Revolution and the Black Power movement, 1492 to 1968. So we have classes coming up this weekend. Classes on sale, $80. We do the sessions live. All the sessions are archived and recorded. You can go back and watch it any time. We have a bundle pack of courses. You can register for both classes also. I do a PowerPoint presentation. We have book references, articles, video clips. Even after the course is over with, you still have access to the full class. You can go back and watch it anytime. And then Ancient Kemet, the Moors, and the Ma'afa, understanding transatlantic slave trade. That meets this weekend also. You can we have the course outline here that you can download as well. So it gives you a lesson plan for each class session. There's about 100 articles that we reference. The first class is about 200 slides, 15 books that we reference. You don't have to buy any of the books to follow along in class. Click right here to download the lesson plan also, okay? I show you it's a very visual class, so I show you the excerpts of the books right on the screen, all right? Okay, so the content is PG-13. You can use this with your children as well. I don't do a lot of cursing. It's not overly vulgar or anything like that. It's nothing like that.